Returning home from a 3-year overseas assignment, I anticipated the peaceful solace of my late father's estate. However, what I discovered was that it had been savagely transformed into an illegal, overcrowded boarding house by the very estate manager he had put his faith in. To reclaim what was lawfully mine, I decided to go incognito. I pretended to be a potential tenant, discreetly collecting photographic proof of the flagrant fire code violations and structural dangers, getting ready to report him and compel a complete restoration of the property. When I brought up standard safety issues, the estate manager sneered. "I'm the boss around here. If you don't like it, cough up the 10 times penalty fee to break your lease and scram." His retaliation was rapid and despicable. He padlocked the second-floor kitchen and bathrooms, preventing the tenants from using them, and even resorted to sneaking live rats into my room, hoping that sheer revulsion would make me break my contract. What truly sent a chill down my spine, though, wasn't his cruelty but the cowardice of the other tenants. The same people who had silently cheered me on when I demanded to see his permit suddenly turned against me. They blamed me for causing trouble, cursing me for bringing the landlord's anger down on them. After the last bit of my sympathy vanished, I scrolled through my phone contacts and found a high-end demolition and zoning contractor I had on retainer. "I'll approve the demolition plan right away. I'll cover all out-of-pocket costs," I informed the man on the other end. "But I have one condition. Go ahead. Your crews must be on site, engines running by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning." I stood on the front steps of the Greenwich estate, the sharp evening air nipping at my cheeks. 3 times I entered the passcode into the security pad. 3 times, it flashed red. This expansive colonial was my inheritance, bequeathed to me by my father. For 3 years while I was expanding our firm's portfolio in Dubai, it was meant to remain empty, well-maintained and in pristine condition. Instead, the foyer was teeming with strangers. "You here to rent too?" a woman asked, holding the heavy oak door open with a welcoming yet weary smile. I was stunned, as if the wind had been knocked out of me. The magnificent, sun-filled living room with its vaulted ceilings had been mutilated. Cheap drywall partitions had sliced the space into cramped, windowless bedrooms. The extensive mahogany terrace had been enclosed with flimsy plywood to create single-occupancy units. Through the hallway, I could see my father's old study, once a haven of leather and books filled with 2 bunk beds, the heavy velvet drapes roughly pinned up to divide the space. A vein pulsed in my temple. "Who's running this place?" I managed to ask, my voice strained. "I need to see the person in charge." My father had been an extremely private man. Hardly anyone knew the security codes to this house. My mind raced through a short list of suspects, but when the man finally emerged from the back hallway, I was still struck with disbelief. Frank Cobb looked extremely pleased with himself. He held a clipboard, his eyes sweeping over me dismissively. "You seem a bit young, but whatever. You looking for a room?" He was my father's most trusted estate manager. Since I spent my life jet-setting between international offices for the family company, I had left Frank in charge of my father's care during his final months. He had never actually met me in person. I was under the impression this was a private residence belonging to Mr. Davenport, I said, keeping my tone perfectly even. "Who authorized turning it into a boarding house? Was it you?" Frank's eyes narrowed, a flicker of defensive anger crossing his face. He slammed the clipboard down onto a makeshift folding table. When he looked at me again, there was nothing but disdain. "I'm the master of this house. It's Cobb's place now," he snapped. "This Mr. Davenport you're talking about? He was just my employer. Look, kid, if you're here to stir up trouble, the door's over there." He took a step forward, raising his hand as if to push me out. "I only welcome paying tenants, not your sort." "Wait, what will Frank do when he realizes the true identity of the person he's trying to push out? And will the demolition crew actually show up at 8 o'clock the next morning as planned?"